Hello everyone, I hope all of you guys are doing well. So today I'm going to discuss answer writing for the theory portion of ethics or GS4 paper of UPSC. And this session is going to include how you can approach the theoretical questions of the GS4 paper, that is the ethics paper, and also I will answer a question live here so that you can get an better understanding of how to handle these questions. Now let's go ahead and dive into this particular session today. There are actually two different portions of ethics paper. One is the theoretical portion, where if you look at the UPSC syllabus, they have provided various topics from which questions come, and these questions come on topics like probity, integrity, honesty, role of ethics in the public servant's life, what are various characteristics of a good ethical civil servant, etc. So these kind of questions are asked. Also, they ask questions on ethical teachings of people, great men and women, and philosophers, in this particular case ethical philosophers also, and this all is given in the syllabus. And the second part of this particular paper is case studies, which are practical or which are application based questions that come for UPSC. For case studies, you have to actually go ahead and prepare application based questions. And what do I mean by that? These are basically real life examples or cases on particular situations that are given to the student, to the aspirant in the paper, and you have to solve that particular ethical questions that are presented in that case study. So for example, there might be a case study about a disaster management case that has happened in the district. How would you actually go ahead and proceed in handling that disaster management? From an ethical perspective also, there might be a question involved. So these are the kind of questions that come for case studies, and this I will discuss in the next class. Today we will discuss these basic theoretical questions on how to approach a question for theory part of ethics, and also I will show you in live answer writing. The four main components of the theory part are these. First of all, for any topic that is given in the UPSC syllabus, topics given in UPSC syllabus, you have to focus on these particular things, these particular four things. The basic definitions of these topics, for example, probity, integrity, these kind of topics are given. You should know the definitions of these particular topics, and you should, as much as possible, try to remember them. Then you should also know the examples, particular examples of these particular topics that are related to either the real life of a great historical figure in the past, or it could be any kind of example from a real life case that might have happened that everyone knows, that generally people know about. So sort of a popular case. For example, there are cases of unethical behavior by companies like the Bhopal gas tragedy that happened. So such kind of examples can be included along with the basic definitions. And examples are a must in this particular GS4 paper. Examples are king. You must know a lot of examples in order to be able to do well in this particular paper. Then third, you should know the significance of that particular principle. So let's say you're studying probity, like I said. Let's say you're studying example probity. You should know the significance of probity in a public servant's life. You should know the what, why, where, when, how of that particular topic. You should also know the significance of that principle. Let's say the topic is probity. You should know the definition, you should know the examples of probity, and you should also know the significance of this particular topic, why it is important in a civil servant's life. So you should know the what, why, where, when, how of this particular topic also. Then finally, you should know the application of the principle in our lives. So how this principle is used and applied in the life of a civil servant. So for example, let's say the topic is about conflict of interest. So what creates a conflict of interest in life of a civil servant, and how there is a practical solution to that conflict of interest, ethical practical solution you should know. I will give you an example. There could be a civil servant who is in a situation where there is a hiring of various doctors taking place in his department, or various employees taking place in his department. So in that particular case, the civil servant might face conflict of interest if a relative or if someone very close to the civil servant is also appearing for that particular hiring in which the civil servant is supposed to make the decision. So in that particular situation of conflict of interest, what the civil servant should do, it can come as a case study or it can also come as a theory part. The second thing I want to tell you about, and this is a big hint I want to drop for all of you, is you should know basic quotations and examples of great women and men and from their lives. So for example, Plato, Aristotle, Buddha, Swami Vivekananda, Mahatma Gandhi, these are all great philosophers, spiritual people, whatever you want to call them, thinkers. They have lived amongst us. You should know something about their life. You should know their basic life story. And you should also know this. A few quotes on important ethical dimensions they have talked about. Just know the basics. Spend some time for studying that also. And this will be useful in essay also. This will be useful in your answer writing in ethics also, and maybe in some other papers also. Finally, I'm going to tell you that focus on the application of knowledge, concepts, principles, and keywords. You should apply whatever definitions, whatever information you have read, like I have told you before, and try to apply it in a very analytical way. For example, there are two types of ethics normally when we talk about two types of ethical dimensions: deontological and consequential ethics. Deontological is nothing but action oriented, in which basically what matters is what your actions are, and consequential is what in which result matters. So this is means versus an end question, and this is an important ethical dimension that you always have to explore in different kind of ethical cases, ethical dilemmas. So you should know how to apply this. You should know these keywords so that you can apply them directly to the cases, and you should also know the meaning of these keywords so that you can use them in your ethics answer writing. All right, so this is a overall idea about the ethics paper I wanted to give you for the theory portion, and now we will do some live answer writing. So what is the question today? The question today is, what is the relationship, very interesting question, very good question, between ethics and law? Explain with examples. All right, this is the question. You have to explain with examples what is the relationship between ethics and law. Now, I have told you in my answer writing videos before, what are the things that you should focus on? What are the main things that you should focus on when you have come across such kind of a question? All right, what should you focus on? You should focus number one on the definition of the main keywords. Then you should analyze the main question, whatever it is asking, and try to answer that properly. All right, so that is what we are going to do today, so that you are able to understand how ethics question can be answered properly. So first we will define law can be defined as a set of rules. Law can be defined as a set of rules that govern individual and groups in a society. All right, ethics acts as a moral compass about what is wrong and what is right in a community or society. You can use the same word, or also see ethics, I will underline this, you can box a set of rules, this is important, right? And this is a moral compass. You can box these so that attention of the examiner can be brought to this particular point. All right, so that would be a nice way for examiner to know exactly what you are trying to say. All right, now you can also show through an arrow the relationship, because it is asking about the relationship, so you can kind of summarize it. Ethics acts as moral guideline for creation or formulation of various laws. So you have given in one sentence a very important point about the relationship between the two. And now I don't always say draw diagrams, but here you can draw a nice diagram of how ethics is related to law and to society as a whole, right? So ethics provides some kind of conscience. Ethics also provide guideline or guides law making. Laws on the other hand, and ethics also on the other hand, drive the conscience of human conduct. And on the other hand, conscience also obviously drives laws, and vice versa. So like this, obviously there is a relation between these. All right, now we come to the main core part of the question, relationship between ethics and law. Ethical ideas serve as major source of regulation and creation of laws. So this we already said here, but now we will give specific example to expand on that. All right, various labor laws in India. So now we are giving very specific example. Provide for protection of working class, but sometimes loopholes are used to exploit the industry and vice versa. So from both sides there is unethical behavior sometimes, even though laws are meant to help both the sides. But of course you can debate this particular point, but still there is some good points about the laws that are in place. There are improvements in the laws time to time depending on the problems that are faced, but overall this problem is also faced. All right, second point you can write is laws provide an external check while ethics provide an internal check. See, laws are supposed to stop you from doing certain things, but ethics is an internal moral compass that is supposed to guide you in doing the right thing. So for example, you can also give a simple example of the traffic rules are formulated for overall benefit of society, for overall benefit of society. All right, but unethical behavior like bribing instead of paying challans also defeats purpose of the law. So despite law being in place, unethical action, unethical behavior still happens. All right, so such kind of examples bolster further your understanding of the relationship between the laws and between the ethics. The third point you can also give here is, I would suggest you come up with a third point and give it in the comments, but here I will also talk about that. It also puts contractual and moral obligation on the lawmaker. So it puts a contractual and moral obligation on the lawmakers to formulate various laws ethically and keeping societal progress in mind. So this is also a relationship between the laws and ethics, because lawmakers should always remember what are the ethical needs, what are the moral needs they need to address. For example, Aadhaar Act required a balancing of privacy with socio-economic needs. All right. Now we should, I think, write conclusion also about this question, because this is a good question. You can write a nice conclusion. Here I happen to remember one of Aristotle's quotes. So that's why I said you should focus on also learning quotes from various moral thinkers. Plato once remarked that if people are law abiding or ethics abiding, then laws would not be even needed. So this establishes a deep relationship, actually a very important relationship between ethics and between law. So today we have covered two important topics: how to actually write answers for ethics, what are the kind of various points you should keep in mind when you are writing ethics answers. For the theory part, I have given you hints also, examples also, and I have also provided you in live answer writing example how to do that. All right. Also, this is the first copy of my answer writing book that just came out, so you guys can check it out if you want. And this is the focus of today's answer writing. I hope you really like it. Thanks. Take care. Bye bye.